Hey everyone, I'm Eric,
And I'm Lisa.
and we're here after some technical difficulties, but we're here.
We are here. Happy Monday to you. We are really kind of off this morning with this technical stuff, but we are here, and we're authors of habits that create a happy, excited, confident you.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us. It's a privilege to be with you guys, and we're really blessed to have you guys with us. And I mean, we've had great fun on our first 3 shows. We had over 400 listens, so that's pretty impressive. We're really happy with that.
Thank you all.
That's great. So today we're going to be diving into our new book, which is free with the link on the description, so you can grab it anytime you want and join us here, and we'll be reading it and going over it. And
we'll be going through it. We want to bring you more awareness so that you can experience life on a greater scale. And that's what we're really, that's what we really want to do for you.
Yep.
So your awareness, your knowledge, and your power of love, the understanding of self, and that reassurance that you are never alone, physically or otherwise, they all play an important role in creating anything that you wish.
Right.
And we really want you to know that you have every possibility to clear away the old, make room for the new, and really help enroll others to help you make your way on your journey, because we're all on this journey.
Right.
And we believe in you, and we believe an extraordinary life, is really within reach for you and for all of us out there. So, you can begin experience your life on a whole new level, when you take action, because that's what it's all about. It's about action.
Right. Sure is.
And we understand this does seem challenging because, we went through it too, so we can really relate through the challenges.
Yep.
But, there's this wonderful, great life force within us, and that's what's really, really awesome is, your life force within. No matter what you've been led to believe, you can form new habits, and, we all get stuck in these ways and these old ways, and we don't think we can get out of them, but we really can.
Right.
And that's pretty magical because when you do that, you can make better choices, and then you can start taking the actions that will lead you to from point A to point B. This is really a place where you are and the place that you really want to go. And trust us, when we say that, no money is necessary because you are your own biggest resource.
Exactly. It's not necessarily what you have, but it's how resourceful you can be. So, that's part of this book is we've discovered that there's 4 key elements, thyself, getting to know yourself, being honest with yourself, getting in touch with yourself, a very important thing is, you're going to express what you give yourself, so, and, the other one is your career and lifestyle, doing what you love is so important. I mean, imagine, if you will, not have an alarm clock every day and just waking up excited and thrilled to face the day and not be this drudgery and training and not wanting to do it. That's a hard road to go down. That's something we discovered for ourselves.
Yeah, and it's really bringing that what you love to do into everyday experience.
Yeah.
Whether you have a job that you really love to do, your family, your kids, it's your lifestyle.
Yep.
Bringing that love into your life.
And the other thing we found too was our relationship, in particular with each other as a spouse and as a couple. Also with, your children, your relatives and friends and that. But more importantly, the relationship between your spouse. And if you don't have a spouse or a partner, I mean, it's a good way to, look for that other significant other.
Right. It's a good way to know what you want in a relationship.
And who you want to be as a couple. That's so important.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to be that loving, exciting relationship, you act in the moment of right now and, do that. You don't just wait for it to happen in the future and hope that happens. No, you actually take the action today.
Right.
So, the other component we feel is really important, which, expands our awareness and our capacities and everything, tap into something greater, is our spiritual journey. Having that connection with Source or God or Creator or whatever you want to call it, but have a personal, unique, practice that is unique to you. I mean, we know some people that go to church, but they're kind of flexible. They have a spiritual practice that's more meditation and yoga and stuff like that. So they're flexible, and whatever works for you. For us, we really don't go to a church, but we feel that the church is inside of our heart, and in that higher connection.
Right, because it's all about that connection with yourself, centered. Being centered in what you believe in, and what you feel is important to you, because all this is part of your journey.
Right.
And whatever you want to consider spiritual for you, it's all when you can bring that to your journey. There's only greater awareness and greater expansion of living this beautiful life that we can all live.
Oh. So all the stuff that we do, we give you some warnings here. It's about having clear focus and direction in life. Getting the results you want. Ending boredom. I know a lot of people that are faced with boredom all the time. They're always saying, "I'm bored. I don't know what to do. I'm bored." You see that on Facebook status and stuff like that. It's like, I guess they haven't really found what really drives them, their passion, what they love, and they haven't really tapped into that yet. That's a wealth and of abundance that is just awesome when you can tap into that. Having fun and energy and excitement, no need for caffeine or alarm clock, like I was saying earlier. Having passion and drive, a connection with.
Yeah.
A deeper meaning.
Sorry. We have a habit of finishing each other's sentences or beginning them. It's just something that, when you bring that connection in, you really can relate with your, I say, my better half, but you really begin to, understand them on a deeper level, and you really open yourself to understanding what, somebody else is going through or how they're feeling. So, and this is my ultimate warning, is a great sex life. I mean, who doesn't want that? And, this is just something that, side effects that we felt through this, but don't let me get me wrong, because that is only like a byproduct of it, because when you have that, that better stuff come into your life, especially a relationship, there's, intense intimacy.
Yeah, which is, we feel each other, look at each other as sacred, each of our bodies is sacred and is sacred to that person, so we honor each other, especially when we're intimate, as, the sacred place, a sacred connection, a sacred, expression of each other.
Right, because, and we're not always talking about physical intimacy. We're talking about, that, going back to that deep connection of intimacy, where, just knowing that you can let your most beautiful and vulnerable self be with somebody. So, through that, you're going to have a better relationship.
Right. So, expansion of consciousness, greater sense of self, empowerment. I think so many people out there who play the victim in their life and their circumstances, and that's something that, we're really passionate about, is, overcoming that victimization and, being the creator of your outcome. It's so, so important. We don't have to, be caught up in the drama of life. We can actually create the life that we want. A greater sense of self, greater control over life, growth on a personal level, on a soul level, which I think that's what a lot of us are always seeking, is that growth. When we're bored and seem like we're stuck, I think we're yearning for that growth in life.
Right.
We want something more. I think that's just a natural part of our soul, is it wants to grow. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's big, and when you start going through this, it is a growth.
Yeah, and you get to experience love on a deeper level like never before when you have that growth, because your awareness is growing. You're aware of more things. You're becoming more of the observer instead of the judger. That's a huge, huge thing.
Yeah, through that experience level and deeper level, you're really able to be your best of your self-expression. And this is where your communication comes through, because you really start communicating with others. You really sit back and talk, say to yourself, am I talking to people the way, am I saying my wants and my needs? So, overall, your communication skills really start to enhance. And when you do that, you can really make some great changes in your life.
Right. you start to experience greater communication skills too.
Yeah.
You get to the point where you can understand and become, be that observer and have that compassion towards each other and have a greater communication.
Yeah. Through that, you're really engaging in life, and that's what it's all about. I mean, if we weren't here, we're meant to engage in life,
right,
and be a part of it and create it, and really, really take in and create your life the way that you want it to be.
Yep. So you can maximize the full potential of you on every level, gain trust and support from others by, accepting yourself first and being honest with yourself and honest with your reality in your present moment.
Yeah, because you're on this journey, but, the neat thing is us being here with you and you being here with us, you're not alone. Through this journey, we all face some roadblocks.
We do.
And, that's just, you want to say that it's life, but, some of the roadblocks that we face that, you may also have is once we believed we were the total sum of our experiences. And what we mean with this is, we used to believe that our past dictated, where our future was going.
Yep.
And this was big because, this held us, we couldn't overcome some of our struggles. It really was holding us back on, on many levels.
Yep.
There's so much our belief system. These are dogmas.
Yep.
Family. You always say, say your parent was an alcoholic, and you said, well, if my parent was an alcoholic, I might wind up being one too. But the truth is that you don't, you're not, because you're not your parents.
Right.
And even with your education, that's something that it shouldn't have to hold you back either.
Right.
We're all learning on different levels. Even in school, we learn on different levels from the time that we go from kindergarten all the way up.
Well, that's what Earth is. Everyone's on a different level at a different point in their growth.
Right, and we are educating ourselves on Earth every day. So it's not just those areas; it's other forms of society and how they have an influence on us.
Yeah, which we, Hollywood and
right,
things we see, and we start to get all these fears and judgment and conclusions based on what we see on TV, which may or may not be true. Why,
the funny thing is when through some of this, we had many successes. So even when we'll get into a little bit more about it later, but we thought they were just accidental. And how I say this is, say you want to do something and you're like, oh, and then something happens and you say, oh, that's just a coincidence, or that's just accident. It's that type of thinking, but.
You'll get family members that you tell them you want to follow your dreams. You're like, oh, you can't follow your dreams. You can't, don't do that. That's just something that's not realistic. Why don't you get a job and do something that's, get some money in and be stable? And
right. But the funny thing is that with our successes, it didn't seem long before we were still unhappy, or had some kind of failure. And that was the thing that really, led us astray, really, because, we had all these self-sabotaging things.
We had this huge, huge roller coaster of emotions going up and down, up and down.
Yeah, because we had, fear. There was a lot of times there was a fear of the unknown, and, you really start to get in touch with what your fears are, but the fear of the unknown is a really big thing because it leaves you with a lack of direction.
Yes.
You want to take one way, but the fear kicks in, and you start going a different direction, or you just stop.
Right. You're paralyzed from your fear.
And this is so detrimental because, you sit back and you look at yourself and you say, well, maybe I just don't deserve this. Maybe I don't.
Second guessing.
Maybe this isn't meant to happen, or maybe I'm just not meant to do this. Have you ever said that to yourself? That when you think about these things, have you ever said that?
Right.
Because I know we have.
Yeah, and I think more and more I expand and push outside my comfort zone, I'm beginning to realize that a lot of this fear is still there. This is it's how you manage it and how you know don't have to overcome it, but just like step alongside of it. Say, okay, come on, fear, we're going along for a journey. We're going to do this together.
Yeah, when there's always in your thought, in your mind, there's always I have to provide and I have to provide, and because we're living in a society where money
rules, yeah.
Money rules, time rules. I just don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. They are like big excuses. We've used them before.
Right.
There's just not enough time in the day, or I just don't know. But do they
really? It's like we've come to realize that it doesn't necessarily take money to do things, even though it does for a lot of things, but not to get started necessarily. And time management is just something that you really have to get down and plan things out.
It's a tool. Matter of fact, we just started using a timer with our daughter to help her prepare for school in the morning, to do her homework. So it was a new strategy to bring into her life that could really help her start to manage time at a young age. And I didn't have this when I was younger. I didn't have this little tiny tool that we didn't, I didn't really know how much it could be a greater effect, but it seems to be really working well. So, time and money, we once thought that they really had to, affect our decisions and dictate them, but they really don't.
Right. It's huge. So that kind of brings us back to, our stories and our struggles. And, for me, I grew up out in the country and had animals and horses and cows and pigs and chickens and did hay. I grew up where my grandparents had a vegetable farm around us, so what I was familiar with was farming and being comfortable with that. And my parents had their troubles, and my father's father died when he was only 18 or 19, so his father died at 42, and I think my father faced a lot of his troubles. Especially he got married and he had a separation from her, and so what I'm trying to say is a lot of our experiences in life, sometimes if we don't know how to deal with them, it just leads to bringing us astray. My father became an alcoholic. I just don't think he knew how to deal with the pain and the hurt, and so my parents eventually split up themselves, and for me, that kind of affected me for a long, long time until I realized, I'm not my past. I'm not my, even though I'm a child of my parents, I'm not the result of their actions. I struggled with that for a long, long time, and it's hard for a lot of people who just don't know what to do, what to think about it, and at least I had some troubles too, but...
Yeah, I too grew up in an alcoholic home, and, it's not something that I hold against anybody. I just know that my dad, being a Vietnam vet, had a really hard time knowing how to deal with stuff that was, he had faced, and, we all go through that. I even went through it myself, with my abuse and I had being sexually abused, and I didn't know how. I didn't know at the time. I was kind of on my own journey when I was younger. I didn't really realize it. I also grew up in a Catholic home, and I didn't really know my own way. I didn't have a chance to explore my own way until I really got older, and I started to realize that every path is different, and I don't have to follow the same path. I can really break free from, what others think of me and who I am and what happened to me. And, I had always, in my mind, envisioned my dream marriage, and when I say that I walked down the aisle, and one of, it was 200 guests, and
at least, yeah.
that was my dream wedding. But then I realized that, I realized afterwards that it's not the wedding that makes marriage.
Right.
My mom once quoted me that, you have to do your homework. My mom once said to me, and I'm quoting her, you have to do your homework in your marriage. And in a sense, you have to deposit what you want into your marriage.
Right.
It's like putting money in the bank. And over time, I realized that I wasn't depositing my full self.
Right.
And it was hard because I didn't realize that I wasn't doing it. That was the thing. I wasn't aware of it.
Right, yeah.
Until one day, like this big event happened in my life that really made me realize that I wasn't depositing my full self, and how damaging it was to us, because then I realized, am I living my dream marriage?
Right.
And it was hard because at this point, we had come to the point where we didn't really almost at one point know where our marriage was going. And that was hard because we had no direction. There was money troubles. There was another baby on the way.
Mm-hmm.
There was a business that we just let go of. But at this time, I didn't realize that, these were all things that we had experienced on our soul journey,
right,
too, on how to deal with them. But even through the time that I had this life-changing event in my life, I really started to see that I could live with the freedom of letting go.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't take, how do I want to say this? Letting go is a whole lot different than what people think it is.
It's not as hard as you think. More of a mental trigger than anything. It's like you just, all of a sudden you need that aha moment. It's like, yeah, I can let go.
Yeah,
I can let go.
I can let go. And I had to learn to bring myself to a place where I could forgive myself. And through forgiving myself, I could also forgive other people. And that is not easy to do at all, but it can be done.
Yeah,
I mean,
you have hurt, you don't want to forget, you want to keep remembering that, but unfortunately it's like it's bringing up the past where the past doesn't really belong in the first place.
Right, exactly.
It's like you need that justification because you've been hurt so bad, and I understand that, and like I said, I've been there, I know what it's like, I know how people are hurt and they don't understand.
Well, you probably felt a lot of hurt when your parents separated too, right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah,
so,
it was like, for me, it was like the two people I loved the most in the world were separating. I couldn't grasp the concept of, why they were doing it, or maybe I thought it was maybe somewhat my fault, or, just it's a hard thing to go through. And luckily for me, I was old enough, I was in my mid-teens, so I could, have somewhat of a grasp of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard, especially when you're younger and your parents fight, because, I also had that too, but I never realized and I never understood that, they weren't fighting over me. It was, these life issues that arise that really get in it's a roadblock. You don't know how to get past them. It's one of those roadblocks.
It is.
You're not sure, what you're doing or where you're going and how you're going to pay for this. But I have to say, through this, of seeing my parents the way they were, I really come to understand that I didn't want that.
Yeah, I was the same way.
Peace.
Yeah, I was the same exact way. It's like, I don't want this. I don't like arguing. I don't like loudness. I just like people getting along and understanding things. And, that's one of the things I always enjoyed growing up was, people would, kind of express their feelings to me, whether it was sitting by the fire or just hanging out, and I always enjoyed having a conversation and just giving them a different perspective on things. It seems like they're like, wow, never looked at it that way. It's like, all you got to do is change perspective. You can't fix people. You can't fix, yourself. The only thing you can really do is change your awareness and change your perspective. When you can do that, boy, you can really do amazing things in life. Incredible.
Yeah, I think I experienced that when I started going through a lot of my healing journey, because, it was a journey itself going through the healing process of what I went through. So, for the healing journey, when I started to really write my poetry, which I loved to do when I was younger, before I had really closed myself off, I just literally stopped writing at one point in my life, and, I set it on the back burner, and then through this healing journey that I was on, I started to write all these feelings inside, and they came out in my poetry.
Mm-hmm.
And then, it's like one thing led to another. I started to, like, share these bits and pieces of my story. And the greatest thing about, online social stuff is the way that you're connecting with other people, because I started to share my writings, and I started to see that, I was bringing something to other people. It's just a different awareness, but through that same aspect, I was bringing it to myself. That's the really neat thing, because we're all on this journey together. So that's when I really started to realize that, my passion was not so much, it was helping to bring that different awareness. It was, it was writing, but the writing was the tool.
Right.
The writing was the tool, but I really started to find that I was passionate about bringing a different awareness to life for people. And, I love to see people smile. I love to see people happy. I always have my whole life. I was like the peacemaker, I guess you would call it.
Yeah, me
because
too.
I always loved seeing people, walk by somebody, even in my family, and they were smiling. It made a big difference. Now, I'm not saying that a smile is going to happen every day, but when there's more happiness, there's more joy, there's really that abundance of, living from the inside. It changes, it changes the way that you approach every day. You can start taking action differently. You can start breaking through those fears. You don't have to throw the fear out of the way. Just break through it. I started to experience that. And I know that we started to experience, things on a whole different level in life, in our relationship, creating a new business together.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it just puts you on this wonderful path of your journey to really explore all new opportunities.
It does. Yeah. I mean, life doesn't really, promote happiness and well-being on a personal soul level. And one of the things, like I was trying to talk about earlier, was I pretty much grew up around animals and stuff, so I kind of knew animals and were comfortable with the animals. So, growing up, I just figured, I might as well go to college for this, and that would be my dream, was to have my own farm one day, which I do enjoy animals and being out in nature, but, we had that dream. We pretty much did it within a year, a couple years after getting out of college, and we did it for 7 years, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and we just had a lot of these emotional roller coasters that we would just go up and down and up and down, and we would get in these slumps, and we'd think, sometimes they were for like days. When we got out of them, it was like they were like little mini depressions. And when we got out of them, we'd be like, what just happened? What did we just go through? What was that all about? Remember?
Yeah, and I remember during this time, I had never ran a business before either, so this was really new to me. I didn't come from the background of the farming and the animals and stuff, but I grew up in the country a little bit, so I was always an outside girl. I remember during this time, I didn't have a lot of confidence to run my business. My phone calls on the phone would be like, hello, you know what I mean? There wasn't that phone call saying, to the vet or to, because on the farm you had to make a lot of phone calls. So there wasn't that confidence in myself to actually run my business, let alone in our own life and in myself. So really, breaking through a lot of that stuff, you really start to find your confident self. I mean, it is there.
Yeah.
And when you take and break through the comfort zones and break through the fear, and, the amazing thing is stuff that you can create with confidence and really, start to, generate yourself out there in a very confident way. Because confidence comes from the inside out.
Right. So, going through all that, we've realized that, you can pretty much create anything you want as long as you take action. But we want to take life to the next level and actually enjoy and have passion and love for what we do. And that just puts us on a whole different level. It creates energy and drive and just creativity, like on a whole new level.
Yep.
When you love what you do. And come to find out that we really looked at farming it wasn't really something I loved, even though I enjoyed it a lot. So what me and Lisa enjoy is, writing and inspiring people and, just expanding their awareness so they can have and create a better life for themselves like we've done. And, just amazing that transformation.
The transformation and, all those things. Through this, you go on to it goes back to, the things things that you're thinking and the things that other people say, and really thinking that life is just life, and really life is a whole lot greater than what you think it is.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, along your journey, things are going to happen. It's life. That's what it is.
Right.
But some of these things, they happen for a reason too, and it happens with things happen. Sometimes there's nothing you can do about it. But they all, I say they're like, it's all about timing, and certain things are all about timing.
Right. And there's another thing too. You should always, no matter what happens, for us, even though we didn't find our passions until now, later on in life, it's okay. We still honor and are grateful for what happened to us, and even all those bad things, because we've come to greater realizations that have helped us in such a way that I would never take that back.
Right.
I mean,
100% agree with you.
Yeah, definitely.
I 100% agree, because I always say that I wouldn't be where I am today or who I am today if I did not go through everything that I went through from the time I was a little girl.
Right.
And I just don't feel like I would be who I am today.
Right.
And so, the thing is, through the journey is you're going to get what we call naysayers.
Yep.
We found it out when we started the farm. There was people that said, "You're crazy. What do you guys want to do that for?"
You can't do that, and people laugh at us and everything else.
Yeah, I remember the one time we walked into a credit place, and they're pretty much, they said, you guys are, they pretty much almost laughed at us, but we didn't give up there.
No.
A
lot of no's, but we
got a lot of no's, and finally we found that one person that did believe in us. We started there.
Right.
But you're gonna get people in your life who, just all around, who have that, their own words of like, "You can't do this. Are you crazy?"
Yep.
And we really found through that choices that you make, there's always going to be somebody that disagrees with that or may disagree with that, because they have their own journey.
They do. A lot of times, how do we see everyone and everything as a reflection of ourselves? A lot of times what other people are saying, it's really about what they're saying about themselves. So, if they're not following their dreams, they're trying to put you down or, talk you down because they haven't done what they wanted to do. Or if someone's, deciding, or it's more about them than it is you. So always remember that. It's the world is a reflection of ourselves. We can only give what we see ourselves as. So it's
yeah,
huge.
I mean, when you reach the point, and we have really come to this point too, when you're true to yourself, and you're doing those things that you love,
and honest with yourself,
and you're being honest with yourself and with others. I mean, through being honest with yourself, you are being honest with others.
Right.
That you really, there's no need to impress anyone, or there's no need to say, I'm going to prove him wrong. You just keep doing what you're doing out of the love of what you're doing.
Exactly.
And that's what it really comes down to, because when you're doing what you really love to do, and this isn't through hurting anyone else.
No,
We're not,
you never promote hurt or pain on anybody.
This is just you being self-empowered.
Yep.
To
finding
really,
your groove.
Really live a life of abundance. And the abundance is just the inner and outer stuff. It's not just the money. It's it's you living your purpose in this world.
Right. You got to be careful about setting your intention, because I think there's a lot of misconceptions out there about just set your intention and the universe will provide. Well, we found that that's not the case. Intention part is for your prayers and thoughts when you're looking for guidance or answers or opportunities to open up. But the universe is going to give you those answers in the forms of, mostly in actions. So, the doors are going to be there, but you got to physically take the action, open those doors, and walk through them.
It's funny that this part came up, because we went to dinner at my parents' house yesterday. My mom and I were talking, and she was kind of reading out of her Bible book that she goes to church with. and she's read something to me, and then she said, you know what, I really come to realize that it's about having faith, but it's about taking action. And I hear this from my mom, who, through the years, and I love my mom, and through the years she's always said, you gotta have faith, you gotta have faith, you gotta have faith. And I said, I know, Mom. I said, but if I'm just sitting there having faith, and I do every day.
Right.
But I said, but if I'm not going out there and doing something to live my life, and, I'm not meeting anything halfway.
Yeah. We kind of fell in that trap when we hit our lowest point, when the farm was going on with bankruptcy, and we were just about broke and as you can be. But we were doing a lot of that. And we were waiting for the answers to come knocking on our front door. Like, hello, I'm here. Here's your opportunity to get your situation.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. These crazy things did happen that came to us.
At the right time.
All of a sudden, it was all about that timing thing. All of a sudden, like, a check came in the mail for a piece of equipment we sold. But it was also, us selling the equipment in order to.
If it was sitting on the lawn, it wouldn't get sold.
Right.
So
exactly.
We had to actually put the stuff out there so we could have that opportunity.
Right. That's what I'm. Because if we weren't willing to let go of that part of the farm and the equipment, there wouldn't be no check.
Right.
Coming in the mail, and that's more. We think along the lines of that so much more now. Is that you have to take action, and and have that faith that it's you're on your journey and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, and you're living more aligned with what you want to do.
The journey is really about you and you being able to express yourself in a genuine way. It's not a selfish thing. It's you really tapping into what we call your groove, what you love to do, what you're meant to do, your calling, whatever you want to call it. That's what your life is really about, and how that ripples throughout all of us as humanity, and how that affects us in a good way, changes lives through living the example of yourself, truly.
Yeah, it all goes back to that action, and I'm very much about positive thinking. I feel like your positivity and your radiance, it vibrates out to the world.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's easy to get trapped in the thought that I'm just going to think positive.
Positive thoughts, and you're going to have positive outcomes.
Because guess what? Sometimes there's things that happen that don't have good outcomes.
Right.
And I think facing that reality that we had to face of letting the business go, we're always thinking, oh, something will work out and this will work out. And eventually, one day, we had to face that reality that, look, this just isn't working out.
Right.
And then when...
Honesty.
Right. And we had to face it. And then we had to face the fall that came afterwards, the bankruptcy,
mm-hmm.
the real heavy stuff. And, once we faced that, we really... our overall attitude changed.
Right.
Now we were facing something in our lives that, was like, wow, we're here.
Right. Well, it's also if you're constantly telling yourself, positive thoughts, and you're not accepting reality, what it is, you're in a way you're lying to yourself what's really in front of you. You can't change something if you're not accepting it for what it is. So, honesty with yourself and what's in the present moment, so you can take the necessary actions to change it. The action is the biggest part of the...
Right, and I think when you do that, then it positively radiates out.
You can have positive outcomes when you take the action that's required to change that outcome. You have the power to do that. Don't think you don't, you do.
Yeah,
And a lot of times people get caught up in the thinking part. They think that, 90% of what they want to do is all on the thinking and the planning and education. I'm going to educate myself and be an expert in it before I actually take the action. Well, really, 90% is action. And then you start getting feedback to how you need to adjust or where you need to go, and it's a totally different thing than thinking.
Yeah. And I go back to a time when you were trading.
Yep.
If you want to give an example of what you were going through at that time.
I've pretty much been a commodity trader most of my adult life, and just what they call is paper trading, where you're actually trading on paper. You're not actually in the markets. You're just, you're having exercises that simulate, not stimulate, but
like
pretty much
when you go to school.
Yeah.
You have your paper in front of you, so you're stimulating.
Not stimulating, but
sorry.
I don't know where we're at here. But it's like an example of trading. Simulation. That's not the word I was looking for. Anyhow, it's totally different. I mean, you're more successful, it seems like. But as soon as you get out in the markets, guess what kicks in? Emotions. That's what the paper trading is lacking. Those emotions will give you feedback. And you'd be surprised that decisions you made on paper are totally different than ones on the real market, because now all of a sudden you're either losing money or you're gaining money, and that really affects your overall trading because you're caught up in the emotions of it. It becomes real tricky, and most traders lose money based in fear. They fear of greater losses. So it's been a huge. I guess I learned a lot through trading, and how your emotions play in your life, and we've had huge winnings where we were like, I don't know, 6 figures in the plus, and then within 30 days lose all that. So you get tied up in this stuff, and emotions do play a part in your actions, and I think that's the point we're driving home here is if you're thinking all the time. One of the things a lot of times you're lacking is the emotions from the engagement. Once you start taking action, you start getting the emotions in play. It's a totally different game, and that's really what life is. It's about engaging those emotions and
right, because then you can really get to know what's feeling right, what's not feeling right.
Right.
And you start to really understand that we're here in this physical world,
right,
that has limitations.
Exactly, it does.
I mean, we're all here, and you're here with us right now. We had technical difficulties starting this morning.
I hope everything's come out okay, because we don't know, because we're doing it over the phone. So.
And that could be a limitation if you wanted to let it be. But really, when you step and you realize and you start to see your higher power, that you really see that I'm separate from this.
Yep,
I could have let this. We could have just given up on the show and said, oh, we're not going to do it. But we didn't. We really stepped back and said, we really want to do this. And let's step through the limitation of what could be going on. And we just found a different way to do it.
Right.
And often there is, sometimes the outcome doesn't come out like you wish.
Right.
But really, when you push past that limitation and find a different way to do it, and then, you have your free will to grow through that.
And that's why we're separate. We're separate from God, Creator, Source, because, it's like our journey is to unite with the Creator. So, if we didn't have that, obviously we'd still be with the Creator and wouldn't be experiencing creation as a whole. And that's the beautiful part about creation. We're separate from, everybody wants to get to heaven, but I think, from my perspective, imagine, if you will, every day was the same. Everything was perfect. You could manifest whatever you wanted, whenever you wanted. So there would be no satisfaction because everything is instantaneously created. But I think the true beauty in creation is, God puts us out in the creation so we can actually co-create with God. That's an amazing thing. We're all creators. We're from the Creator. We can create. We are co-creating, whether people realize it or not. They're co-creating their reality right now. Whether they whether it's subconscious. I don't know if you use the word subconscious, but whether they are doing it on a awareness that they're able to change their outcomes or not.
Right.
Or the victim of their circumstances. That's the two different scales of it.
Right. And being in the human form, you have this spirit about you.
Right.
Do you ever walk into a room and somebody just says to you, oh my God, you're glowing, or you have, your physical form, but it's almost like the energy that you send out there is different than your physical form, and people, other people can see that.
Well, the physical form is limited. Here's the beautiful part about being human, is we're a mix between physical with limitations, spiritual with no limitations. how we can merge the two together to create a life of wonders and awe and whatever we want to create.
And, merging those two together is the really wonderful thing about it.
Mm-hmm.
Your uniqueness and your abilities and your physical form of your body to take the actions that you want to take in life, mixing that with your energy, your spirit, your emotions, your feelings, what you want to do out of life is that co-creating. And that's what's really wonderful.
And we know life doesn't end with death, because for ourselves we've experienced a lot of times I always say everybody comes to me after they die, and a lot of times I get signs and dreams and everything else every time a relative or a close friend has passed. And one house we lived in on our farm where we started, we actually had a lot of activity in our house. We had I don't know if it was a whole family living there in spirit or what, but we had a lot of activity. I mean, we had lights come on, doors shut, doors open,
TV
shut off,
TV turn on.
Yeah.
You always felt like there was a presence there.
Microwaves, or not microwaves, but the coffee maker would do crazy things. I don't know how many coffee makers we went through in that house. Computers would do funky things.
Our little girl was, she was born in that house, and I remember her looking over my shoulder when she was a baby, and she was just a baby in that house, but I remember her looking over our shoulder. I don't know if you remember, but she would have this big, huge smile on her face, and she was only an infant, she was only infant, and I used to think to myself, what is she seeing that I don't see? At this time, I wasn't fully aware of my abilities, but I've seen that with a lot of babies, and I saw that with her, and I really start to realize that, we all can tune into that power within.
Yeah, so one time I actually saw a woman in our front door. I was outside, I just happened to glance over at the house, and there was this woman standing in our front door because we had the screen door. The door was open, it was summertime, screen door was shut. And when I looked over, I saw this woman dressed in 1700s dress apparel. I was like, did I just see that? But I guess one of the stories with that farm was there was two daughters that were left the farm, and there was two houses on the farm. I guess it was at one point it was together, and they couldn't get along, so they separated it, and whatever it was. But I guess there was two houses on that farm, and there was actually a couple of mornings we would walk outside, and our front door would be wide open. We look in the back, in the house behind us, the front door was open in there too. I was like, what is going on?
And, our neighbors would say to us, did you guys come in, did you guys knock on the door in the middle of the night or anything? Did you guys need help or anything? We're like, no, why's that? They're like, well, our front door was wide open. And I'm like, ours was too. Very, very interesting stuff. But, this is the point that we really started to begin enhancing. I know for you did. Really begin to enhance your psychic abilities and, your intuitive. And to back that up, somebody else had come to our house and actually told us about that they had saw that same, that same woman in the doorway.
Mm-hmm.
So then it was like, wow, I'm really not seeing things. My psychic abilities were just enhancing. I remember that. But, we have many stories of that.
Oh, yeah. One of the things, too, is we've done past life regression, and we've had some pretty amazing regression sessions where they're so detailed, especially for me. I was able to actually look myself up in a previous life, town, where I went to school, where I worked, and where I died, and all that. It was just amazing, finding all this stuff out. We just say this to give you an example that life is more grand and wonderful. It's not like we die and we're stuck in wherever we are. It's like, no, we're meant to be out in creation, not to be sitting in this perfect place of love and bliss, but the actual absence of that, but being able to create it within our limitations. I think that's a beautiful thing. And there seems to be a common theme with the past lives. that a lot of times we're coming back, we're doing the same kind of work.
Right.
Depending on what I guess, if you have expertise at a soul level, we're all teachers and students, so we're all teaching each other some form of education on one way or one level or another. And a lot of times, too, is you have the same family members coming in together with you, like a soul group that's in the same level of development. I was saying with Earth is a school. Our souls are on everyone's on a different level on their soul journey. The soul grows just like anything else. It's an eternal thing, but it renews itself too. Just look at out in the universe, everything is cyclical. There's births and deaths, and everything has this scale on it. Everything is cyclical. So everything is just has a what do I want to say? It's like the pie. It keeps growing and growing and growing on larger and larger scales. So if you can think of it that way, your soul is on a grand scale where it's the soul is so grand that it's almost timeless, and it takes a long time to develop it in a way that's
right. And the one thing about the past lives is that with past lives, what they do and what they bring to your life is a lesson that you had to learn in that past life so that you could bring it to your life.
Mm-hmm.
I know that one of the ones that I went into was I had to realize that I had to trust myself more. It's about that confidence. So, I won't delve into it, but my one past life had, basically me showing that in this life I had to really step up to use my voice.
Yep.
And I had to start trusting myself and that it was safe in this lifetime for me to do what I'm doing here today. And when you have that, it brings something really unique to your life today, that you're on this soul journey, that you can really start co-creating some pretty amazing things. It's really about getting in touch with yourself and reconnecting with your higher self so that you can know what you can do and really unleash that power.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty amazing stuff when you can do that.
Yeah, I think the soul might be split. This is my opinion. So the soul might be levels on the soul too. Like there's a level that's already God consciousness and it's already in its pure form. There's other levels that are kind of working its way up to that. Excuse me. So I think too with the past lives is sometimes you ever wonder why you're almost like an expert in some things, things about stuff that you never really studied, but yet you know a lot of stuff about it. And I think a lot of my past lives are actually, I've realized that that's coming through. It's like, wow, I always wondered how I knew so much about that topic, and I really never really read anything about it. Yet on that past life, I was like this, an expert in that field. And I was like, oh, that's pretty amazing.
Or when you're attracted to something.
Right.
When you feel a deep, yearning, like say you go by castles and you're really attracted. I found this with my one past life. Now I know the reason why I was always attracted to castles and, the princess ball gowns. I know now why I was so attracted to that one, because I call that my princess past life.
Right.
And I know now why I was so attracted to those things. Yep. And, now I know why that even certain people are brought into my life with the past lives, because when you recreation, you're actually, you recreate with certain, family members or people. Do you ever just feel connected to somebody the instant that you meet them?
Yep.
The past life, I feel, is a reason. Like, you instantly know. I know one of our friends, when we first met her, it's like, I know you. Have you ever, you think back to yourself, you ever just met somebody and you're like, we met before because I know you. And you have this deep feeling. And over time, you really start to, build a really neat relationship off of that, because then you really start to know why certain people are brought into your circle of life.
Yeah. It's like I said before, creation is so awesome and beautiful that really cycles repeat themselves, but the journey is never the same. always a different combination of, people playing different roles, different times, different technologies, different understandings, just different awareness and consciousness, and it's a real beautiful journey. I think we've been here on Earth for a long, long time. We just gotta, maybe one day we'll realize that those pyramids aren't what we think they are. There's something there. There's more there than we think there is.
There sure is. There's a great power within.
There is.
And this is really like chapter 1 of our book.
Mm-hmm.
We're not sure if you're following along with us, but you can get our free gift right now that we have to you, and this is, our ebook, and you can always download it because, it's free, but chapter 1 is really about going in.
Yep.
It's about that power.
Realizing your powers that you already have.
And I'm going to start off this chapter 1, about the journey.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's take a journey that's close and dear, that has few limitations, endless wonder and fascination. A journey that's just when you think you've seen it all, there's a surprise around the corner, and always a natural, inquisitive behavior to explore more. Infinite, unconditional love that comes from the heart and its connection with Creator. This journey starts with
us. We're more powerful than we realize. What if there was something within? What if there was a treasure within, and you were more powerful and had the abilities far greater than what you ever had been led to believe? Excuse me. Where you came from, who you are, and where you're going is different than what you've been told. You have the abilities to have whatever you wish, and you can do so, causing no harm to others in the process. You can be happy, have more energy, live a healthy life, fulfilling your aspirations with few limitations. Here's where only misinterpretations and all your knowledge is already available and easy acquired. Our life experience has discovered this, and this is why we give we want to give this book to you guys as a gift, because we feel that it's so important to live your life fullest, and, follow your dreams, live the life that you've always wanted, have the relationships that you've always wanted,
break through those comfort zones,
right,
and lift your limitations, and even when you have somebody that says you can't do this, go fulfill your highest aspirations. Your dreams, you're meant to create your dreams.
Right.
And if you don't have a dream, create a new one.
Right. You can always create what you want. So.
I think we're going to delve into so much stuff about yourself.
Yeah.
And that's what's really, what really brings out your most highest self. But it takes going within.
There's yearning within, and everyone has this, whether they realize it or not, but there's something that's always, almost like there's you're looking over the horizon, but there's something there, but you just can't see or grasp it or understand what it is. It's like this yearning for growth, yearning to go to distance, yearning to have a life that you have control your outcomes.
Yeah.
Not the victim of your circumstances.
Right, where, you sit back and you say, I've always really wanted to do this. And, if you've ever felt that way, that's your earning. And it's safe for you to follow. That's what I had to learn in this lifetime.
Yeah, we did.
It's safe for
Both
you.
of us.
And, because it's your journey. And as we, these are some of our own personal readings through here.
Our poems and stuff that we wrote. And
so that's why we're going to share them with you as we go along. And because these were stuff that we were expressing during our own time.
Right.
So this is another one. This one's called Go Within.
Mm-hmm.
Go within, take a moment and travel to the quiet place where all your dreams reside. Have no doubt, for they do exist. Not far away, all that is needed is to look inside. It's true sometimes life seems weary and thoughts cloud the mind. Perhaps they are pondering whether or not the soul is where it is meant to be. Relax. Take a deep breath. Go within, for it is where all lies and needs to be. Leave the voices of the world outside. Listen to what the heart speaks, for it is attracted to that which brings most joy. Hold on to your ideals. Continue to have courage to follow in what you believe. If you're ever feeling lost, go within. I wrote this during my time that I was really going within myself.
Right.
And this is the time where I was delving and reaching far inside to really find out what my heart, was saying to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really reconnecting. And I think it's so, I think we both feel it's so important that when you know yourself, really, it branches off from there. It's
right.
like that tree.
Yep.
You are that trunk and you are that tree. When you stand in your place and and lovingly stand in your place and know who you are, everything branches out from there. Your life branches out from there. And then you really start to see that and pour, not just see, but your awareness expands and you pour everything into your career, your relationships, your journey, and you can really reach to the sky.
Right.
And really blossom and form and develop and grow and really come to that place of peace and happiness and fulfillment. And it takes a journey and it takes growth, but you really can do it.
It takes action. Really, it takes actions. You always have a choice, no matter what's going on, where you're at in life, but you always have a choice in how you react to what is currently in your present moment. And if you're ever in doubt, choose compassion.
Yeah,
Can't go wrong there.
And during this time when we're speaking of compassion, it's a great time to be compassionate with yourself.
Right.
Because knowing that, and coming to understand that, these emotions are something that I'm feeling as I'm going on my journey, but they don't have to hold me.
Right.
And I don't have to hold on to them.
Right.
You can deposit them in a jar, and these are my feelings, and set them aside.
Yeah, it's important to observe them, express them, and just be aware of them, and move on.
Yeah, because it's like one of those habits. It's just a habit because you've created a habit, and I know I did this. I created a habit of thinking, I don't know myself. I'm not beautiful. I'm not unique. I don't, there's nothing that I'm bringing to this world. And that was just something that had been built up over time. So I had to break through that.
Right.
And when you break through that habit, you can really start forming these new habits.
Right. So one of the habits we have to create is go into your happy place. So this is something we've, been working on for the last 4 or 5 years, and this meditation to help you get you to that happy place. So we're going to do a quick meditation and help you discover your happy place. So we'll get started right now. Happy place meditation. Go within to what you cherish, love, and hold sacred. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. Then out. As you're sitting there, with your eyes closed, sense the clear blue sky above with the warmth of the sun. As you take your next breath in, pull that sunshine into you, lighting up every cell in your body and soul.
With your exhale, push all the darkness out, your worries, doubts, and fears. Now feel your feet on the ground. With your next breath in, share that sunshine with the earth. Push it deep into her core, lighting up every part of the earth. And when you exhale, bring that light back through your body, out of your head, back to the sun, then spreading it throughout the universe, lighting up the entire universe. Now that you are filled with light, place your hand on your heart. Feel that rhythm. Think of a time, place, event, person, or feeling you hold dear. Your happy place. Feel the feeling of your heart expanding with joy and bliss. Isn't that amazing? Your overall well-being, the calmness, the warmth of your heart, and your soul. Stay here for as long as you like. Here, you transcend time. Know that love is a choice. You have the power to change your life. You have the power to influence change by living the example of love. You have greatness within, for you have the power to choose love. And love is the most powerful in the act of compassion towards yourself and others. The power of you is the power of love.
Okay, we're back. Phew. I don't know how, if the radio show does that meditation with any justice or not, but the link is down below in the description. So if you want to check that out, you're more than welcome to use it as you wish.
Right, it's over on Eric and Lisa TV.
There too, yep.
The place to be. You'll get more of our meditations over there too, and
Yep.
we'll be bringing more over there as well. But
Yeah.
it's over there, and it's really a combination of stuff that we realized as on our own journey. So we hope you enjoy it.
Yeah. If you're looking for motivation and the inspiration, head over to our Facebook page and check that out, Eric and Lisa Salisbury. So if you like to, check out our website. We have tons of free resources there. Have all types of topics, anything from bullying, psychic kids, building confidence, creating habits, getting to know yourself, relationships, advice, spiritual expansion, even talking with angels. So if you don't see that stuff, just keep checking in because we're constantly updating and adding stuff on a daily basis. So.
Right. Yep, we sure are. We really believe that life is precious.
We do.
And that's one reason why, we're with you today because, your life, your time, who you are, your uniqueness, I mean, it is all a part of life.
Yep.
And it's so precious and it moves so fast. We even see this with our own children, our parents getting older, us getting older.
Right.
Life is precious. The time is now. That's the key.
Live
Time
it
is
now. The current moment, the present moment.
Yeah, and be on your journey. That's one thing we can say to you.
Yep. Live your life, not somebody else's life.
And you really can, do and create and live a happy life. I mean, we all deserve to.
That's it.
And we all can, and that's the really great thing. So we're going to be bringing more. So.
Yep. So stay tuned for our next episode. Will be continuation with our book. We'll have some more stuff to dive into with thyself, and we'll definitely be going deeper. So,
We will.
Until next time.
Live your dreams.
Act often.
Love openly.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.